need to find this place or we'll be late.
Make a left on Astrology Avenue. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant right. It should be right here. 444 Spearway. Oh, turn!
It looks like Renee. Yay, we're on time.
The James and Kelly Show.
Great, let's start the show.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, Kelly. I was going on a ride with you. It's so much fun.
I know. We'll have to do that again.
Memory of our time on Venice Boulevard. We were almost late for that show. Remember, we were almost late.
Well, we walked in about 5 minutes before it began.
Yes.
Not our first time being late.
How are you, honey? You look beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I'm doing really well here. It was 54 degrees yesterday, and today it's feels like minus 20, and we're going to have an ice storm any minute. So it's kind of crazy. How about you?
Weather changes, yes. I was out Friday. I had a little bit of a cold because of the weather changes. It was very hot, and then all of a sudden it got very cold, and it affected me. And I'm good now, but the weather's been very, very odd. So it's going to get rain here and get cold, and today was warm. So yeah, it's a very strange time. And I know that we're all getting ready for tomorrow, which is the
and
big
I was going to say, I think that even the weather is getting ready for it.
I think so. People have asked me today and over the weekend, is that really important? I was like, it's really important.
It's really important. I mean, tomorrow is a really important day. In fact, I'm going to do a special show like at 2 p.m. Pacific time, just to talk about the Pluto return. But I do want to talk about it now. And I also want to talk about the fact that tomorrow is February 22nd, 2022. So all of these twos, let's just start with all of these twos. Yeah. I mean, 22 is a master number in numerology, and 22 means to build, destroy, and rebuild. And then you add a 2 and a 22 and then a 222. All of those twos ultimately they mean duality. So duality, if we look at duality of like dark and light, or love and hate, it's duality, the opposite of things. And when there's duality,
balance.
The whole thing, all of these twos mean we have to balance everything. We have to come to some harmony of something. That's always the thing about twos. When for a long time, some of us have been seeing 1111 or now 2222, and these are all to wake up our souls. This is why we have these numbers here. But the twos, and isn't it interesting? It's on a Tuesday. I don't mean to be, funny, but
Kelly,
I know it's like the old pun. I'm so sorry. I couldn't help it. But it's a palindromic number, which is backwards and forwards. It's the same. And when you have that always means in numerology that there are two outcomes. So again, two outcomes of if you go this way, or another outcome if you go this way. So it's essential that we know this period of time is to ultimately bring balance to us and harmony. And you'll notice in relationships, you'll look at your relationship. Is there anything I need to work on? Is there anything that the two of us need to do together in a relationship? It's going to be important for that.
For interrupting, I was going to say the people in your life right now, look at them for balance. What are they teaching you? Are they teaching you balance? Are they teaching you how to bring balance into your life or not? Because it is the ultimate harmony and balance. So
harmony and balance.
That or not in your life? Yeah.
And are they nurturing? Are they caring? Are they kind? All of twos represent these kind of factors. And it's always twos also are about service, helping others.
Really?
So,
didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Virgo number. Yeah.
Virgo number, right? And the other so many interesting things here, but the number 2 is associated with the high priestess in tarot. And that means the guardian of mystical knowledge attained through intuition. So here we go with this, right?
Well, I'm having dinner tomorrow night with two very strong wise women. So yeah.
I know you are.
Yeah,
it's going to be great. I can't wait to hear all about it.
Piscean women. So there you go. Very spiritual, wise. I always think Piscean wise sign. It's a wisdom sign.
Yeah, very much so. And this date too tomorrow can bring a lot of clarity for people, because it'll help you with a career. You'll get some clarity in something, whether it's your career, your love life, what you want to do in your life, it brings clarity. These two bring clarity. So just know that it's going to bring a balance to your life on
And
some
Kelly, I need
level.
to interject a little bit by repeating this again because I'm just getting this in my head strongly. Is saying, look at those that support you tomorrow. So be aware of who supports you in your life and who does not, because life is too
Right.
short to have someone in your life who doesn't support you.
Well,
That build you up, not tear you down.
and not only that, James, but this Pluto return, life's too short. Pluto return's not going to have any of it. It's not going to have any of it. It's
Take it
it's literally going to, which we're going to talk about. But the other thing I want to talk about is tomorrow. And I do the destiny cards,
I
and
know
so
you do very well.
tomorrow is a 3 of Diamonds day, and 3 of Diamonds is the most challenged card in the deck. The
Really?
most challenged, the most difficult, and I'll tell you why. Because it means undecided values.
Wow.
And so it will help everybody to know that they really have to know, what do they value? What is important to them?
Who are they?
Who are they? Exactly.
Who are
This
they
is
not? Who are they? Who are they not?
absolutely. So tomorrow, just on the twos, it's such an important day. In fact, I never work on a Tuesday, but tomorrow I'm actually going to see clients that were born on 2/22 because
Oh!
I have several of them. Can you imagine that? Um, who knew? But anyway, so let's talk about the big
Pluto
event too,
return.
the
Yes.
Pluto return. And so I'm going to give a little history of this, just a brief history of the Pluto return, because this event has actually been building for years. Pluto went into Capricorn actually in 2008, and that was the beginning of the Pluto return. It was approximately the end of November of 2008. And if you think about it, what happened then? And it was at 2 or 3 degrees. It was a little degree then. If you think about it, what happened? The stock market crashed.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of the Pluto return. So then in January of 2020, Pluto was at 22 degrees. Now, let me say this about Pluto. Pluto is the slowest moving planet, and it takes 248 years to go around the sun. Years. That's a long time. And so none of us have ever experienced a Pluto return because people don't have them, because we don't live to be 248.
Countries do.
Countries do. Countries do. And we will all feel it in one way or another, but countries do. So, and I've had
Our first Pluto was 1776.
1776.
When
So
this country was growing up, birthed.
it was actually birthed on July 4th, 1776. But what's so interesting about that is, so if I go back to 2020, in January of 2020 with Pluto, it was at 22 degrees. And what happened then in January of 2020? COVID.
Wow.
So every degree makes it stronger.
Wow.
Now the Pluto return is an exact Pluto return at exact degree is when they signed the Declaration of Independence, and that's at 27 degrees. And 27 degrees means this: power. It means power. It's intense. And it's going to be exact tomorrow, exact as the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Now, fun fact, guess whose birthday it is? It would have been tomorrow. Guess who was born on February 22nd? Fun fact. George Washington.
Oh,
now think about that.
Wow.
Right?
I didn't know.
Now, I have to ask you, James, what do you think he'd be thinking right now?
Well, I don't know what.
Wouldn't he be just like?
There are words to describe it, really.
Right. It's fascinating to me that that's his father of it, and his birthday.
And birthing of nations and pushing down of nations, destruction of nations too. So would it make sense? Would you think that, like with Russia and that happening, tomorrow would be the day? I would think
probably. If it's not tomorrow, it's going to be probably tomorrow. I would think it'd be really, really soon here.
Kelly, I was reading somewhere about when Britney Spears started the whole thing against her father for her rights or life, and then the Weinstein thing with the whole sexual abuse thing started. Or the beginnings of the Pluto return, when
all of that was the beginning of the Pluto return, because
be healed.
Exactly. So Pluto is the planet of the like unconscious, the dark side, the shadow side, the things that you don't, the unconscious desires, things that you may not talk about, repressed traumas. It's huge. Pluto is all about that. It's the
Yeah.
hidden agendas.
Yeah.
So let me tell you what, this transformation tomorrow begins this huge transformation. Pluto return means a huge transformation.
And brings
And
light and darkness, correct?
it's
Light.
light and darkness. Absolutely. Now, years ago when I was in graduate school, the buzzword trauma wasn't that big. I mean, yeah, people had trauma, but really wasn't a buzzword. Isn't it interesting now that Pluto return, it began in 2008. All we do now is talk about traumas. And why is that? Because this Pluto return is for us as individuals. We're going to be doing our deep shadow work ourselves, and there will be no running away from it. It will just be the time to work on it, because Pluto ultimately wants us free and ultimately knows why we're here. So it will be doing a lot of work on ourselves, as the nation, the United States, has a lot of changes coming up, to the point where it's going to be I don't know, probably some revolution, probably some sort of a revolution or some sort of something, James, will happen. I don't mean tomorrow, but I mean in the next periods of time, we're going to see a lot of change happen in the United States, and that will affect the world.
And how people, I'm sure, wondering now, I'm not looking at the chat, but how people are wondering how they're going to deal with this. And I would just say surrender to your highest good, surrender to what you feel is good for you. Don't get freaked out.
Right.
Don't go into fear mode. That's the worst thing you do. Just surrender. It's almost like, riding a wave. Just surrender and know yourself better. Know who you truly are. Don't try to cover that up, and just be real of who you are, and let that be. But I don't think it's time to freak out or be fearful.
No. God, no. It's
Understanding is knowledge.
Absolutely. And I just know that we're, change is for the good. I mean, there's
Life
been a lot of
Life is about change. It's all about movement. You can't stand
constantly.
still in life. Life is not about stability. Life is about movement.
Yeah. It is about change and growth. And this is a greatest period. All of our souls wanted to be here for this great time. We chose it. We chose it. I mean, my goodness. And interesting enough, James, too, because Pluto rules Scorpio, which is death and rebirth, right? The South Node is also in Scorpio. So it really is going to be a time for us to do this deep work on ourselves, on the planet, in the United States, certainly. But it's going to be
Kelly,
a big
let
time.
me ask you a little quick question here, which I don't know why I'm asking, but I have to. So if people don't work on themselves, in the sense of, would you find that somehow later on they might feel they're not connected?
Yes.
Or they don't feel they belong or something. Would that make any sense?
Yeah, I think what will happen is, we learn through relationships. Now, again, all these twos, right? We learn through relationships. And so you may be in a relationship that's no longer going to work for you because the other partner is changing.
Yeah.
Or is this what you need to make some changes? I think that people do change when they are ready, except this seems like we are on an accelerated path.
Give them a kick in the pants is what you're trying to say.
A kick in the pants. That's exactly right.
Kick in the pants. Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Kelly, I feel like we've done this before.
Well, let's talk about that. Did you get that deja vu feeling?
Just got this feeling over me.
So tell me.
It's really interesting. There are deja vu. French word is vision, clear vision, right? Seeing vision, having vision, seeing something before. Over the years, I don't know about you, Kelly, but over the years, for me, that definition has changed or expanded, I guess you could say, in different ways. So
tell me about that.
Well, deja vu, originally when it started off, deja vu was a sense of that you've been to a certain place before.
Yeah.
You've known somebody before, you've been before. And often people say, well, maybe past life. And I do believe that. I do believe there was maybe your soul experienced that in the past life, because time is only linear in this three-dimensional world. If you want to talk about it that way, quantum physics is a whole other thing. But I do believe that I used to believe that, maybe it's just past lives, and that's how it was. And I never forget when I was in New Orleans once with a friend, just right before I was really into mediumship. And I remember that we're driving from Florida to California. We drove through the South, went through New Orleans, which I've never been. And I said, "Oh, two blocks here, make a left. There's gonna be a church on the right side. And we go down this way." And I knew like 4 or 5 blocks exactly the way they were because I felt I'd been there before. I knew this. It was an old city. I've been to the city before, and I've had the experience since in Europe. I've had certain cities I've been there before. I know it. I just know I have. So that was my feeling of deja vu to begin with.
And that's one actually aspect of deja vu. That can be that. That can
That's
be
one. That's
one.
one. There are
Mhm.
many, but that is one. So
Right.
continue moving on.
But for me, the feeling of deja vu, what my experience of it, and I've had a few, not a lot. And do you know, James, as you get older, seem to have less of them. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
No.
kind of interesting. You
I
get
I
as you
can't
get older,
remember what I had for breakfast, so forget about
maybe
yesterday.
that's why. But for me, it was always about planning on the other side. You know, a Virgo. I'm such a planner, so we plan so
Oh,
much on the other side, right?
okay, I can't do this with you anymore because you have to go to that place before I even went there. You already
I'm sorry, but that's what happens. And then when we come here, we might get ahead of ourselves, and then we might have seen it because we've already planned it before. And those are times when spirit is talking to us. Those are really important times for us.
that's what I was gonna say. I was going to thank you for psychic. Of course, you're very psychic. It's hard to do a show without a psychic. Um,
Sorry.
it's like you finish each other's thoughts. Exactly. So what that first definition of deja vu is past life, and then I got into that point of like, wait a minute. I think that in between, let's say the sleep state, if you will, that we plan ahead of time
Yes.
certain situations that we have to go through and experience and learn from. And we do that on the other side with our teachers and guides and so forth, and we see it very clearly. And then when it finally happens and materializes in the physical vibration many
Right.
months or years later, there's a part of us like, wait a minute, I know this. This is very familiar with me. So that I
Right.
agree. That's exactly what that is. It's that sense of pre-planning this. I
It's
planned this.
pre-planning. That's the word. Right.
Yeah. And
And
it's so hard. It's a linear world here. We're measuring linear time. It's
right.
three-dimensional, but we're in that box, if I could say it, that the human box. But really, when we plan these things, we're outside that box, and we have to fit into the conceptualization of a three-dimensional linear world.
And when that
Yeah,
happens, we should all celebrate. It's like a kind of a, oh wow, we're a soul having a physical experience. How wild is this moment?
yeah. And then you get into that sense of wow, it's so limiting. The physical experience is so limiting.
Right? It's so true.
But
And this is interesting that you can also have a deja vu with when your ancestral memories are triggered.
that's really interesting
Right? So you
because
carry
we're also part of our ancestors. Why can't a soul? We
exactly.
can't limit our soul to just ourselves. We can be because there was no time. Part of our soul material is part of our ancestors from before.
Yeah. I think that's so
Wow,
interesting. I think
interesting.
I just think that's fascinating. You can also have dreams too that are clairvoyant dreams or dreams that you've had an experience and then you have the experience.
Exactly right. I've had many of those actually, many
Have
times.
you? Yeah.
I've had many times, especially as a kid. I used to dream things. Well, I used to dream things. Maybe we'd call it something different. Maybe it's a pre-knowledge of something, a precognitive, maybe it'd be called,
Right.
because I dream of something and then it would happen. But I have dreamt, and it's no, no, I said precognitive because I dreamt of something. There it was, and when it happened, it's oh, I dreamt of this before. I knew this was going to happen because I planned this out. I knew this.
Yeah.
Many times, I remember seeing myself in front of a group on a stage and sitting in a chair, and of course, now I know that I've done that through demonstrations and so forth. So I haven't seen that. Yeah,
Wow. Joanne Wilson says, I've been told that deja vu feeling is linked to a small epileptic seizure. I've heard about that too, Joanne. I've read that. I
I
don't
read that.
know if that's that may be accurate. What do you think?
I think there could be some chemical
Mhm.
part of that, which is true. I wouldn't say it's the only way and limit that. I think that could be part of it, just like near-death experiences, I say, could be a certain chemical release in the brain or certain hormones. That could be that, but I wouldn't limit it to that. I think it's much more than that.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, the science world has to figure out
science
why
world,
this would happen.
yes, has to control
I mean,
everything.
I think the only way you could really view this is from a spiritual standpoint.
I think so. Well, it certainly help a lot. It would certainly help because
Yeah.
I don't know, from my perspective, from a spiritual perspective or soul perspective, it makes sense. It just makes sense.
Totally, totally. And to me, it means that you're on the right path.
Yeah, yeah. Or validation that yeah, you plan this out and you're doing exactly what your soul planned. Why not?
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
validation. It's just
I
validation for
It's
sure.
just, and it also can be something from your higher self your higher self giving you some wisdom for the day or some peace for the day or something.
And this is interesting that I found that I was looking back at this, that certain places you go to, like I mentioned, the city of New Orleans, but I remember there's certain rooms I've walked into or buildings. And I was like, I've been in this room before. I know about this room. Or, would I've had experience before? I think I dreamt it or I pre-planned it beforehand. No doubt
Right.
about it.
Right.
Now, could it be past life? Well, that's a little different, but there could be a past life memory associated with people for sure. I know when you meet people, certain people are like, I know you. I've met you before. I connect with
Right.
you. Is that deja vu? It depends. I think we've had past life experiences together with people.
Right.
I think that's that soul memory, if you will, of that
Right. Right.
or life.
Janet String says, Thich Nhat Hanh always taught that we are their continuation of our ancestors.
It's like a
Oh,
pearl, like a necklace. A pearl necklace just goes on, and the bead, each pearl represents, I think, a person or a generation. I've always seen
yeah.
it. I've always seen that as a little kid. I used to see that a string of pearls, and I knew that had something to do with ancestors, and we're connected like that. We're all
Oh,
together. It's deeper individual as well.
oh, I love that. I love that. Chantel Fortin says we are in a linear world now. However, there seems to stop when she has a deja vu. I mean, that's kind of true. When you have a deja vu experience, and it's really an interesting experience, that linear play stops, and then you realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm a soul having this adventure here.
So the image I get, which I love this image. Don't ask me how and why I got it, but of a girl just standing there, and to take the top of her head and go like, "Boop," open it up, expansive sky. And so most of us as soul beings are that. We're 70% out of the body, only 30% in the body. I'm not sure if that's exactly the right percentages, but the point is that we're limited to this physicalness, but really our expandedness, we're really much, much more out of time. Time is not linear. So trying to put that together with who we are as a soul, being in this, I say this kind of
Limited kind of state.
this illusion of this
Yeah.
physical. This is just an illusion because really we're spirit. We're not physical. There's only a small part of us. So try to integrate that. And I think a lot of people have trouble with integration
Yeah.
of the soul self and that their essence, their nature, which is spirit.
Well,
You know,
why do you think people have trouble with accepting that belief?
well, number of reasons. I think number one is
Mm,
control. There's a control
yeah.
issue. So it's fear because they have to control the environment around them. Fear
Well, it's
based.
funny you said control because you can't control a deja vu.
You can't control it. You can control that essence.
Yeah.
That all you control is what you think,
Right.
your thoughts. You can control, and how you perceive or receive things. You can control.
Right.
I think
Right.
people, so many issues involved with that programming, past experiences. Who believe we are. So
Right.
I think one always should be open to aspiring to something different each time, each day. With each breath, something new. Learn something new.
Right. Oh, I love that, James. It's so true. Is this the same as prophetic dreams? I don't
So
think
no,
so.
I don't think so. Like I'm
Yeah.
just that prophetic is the future. Was what you see is going to happen. But I think deja vu is a sense of, well, you kind of know it's an event. It's kind of an event. Well, I understand what she means by that. But it's a prophetic. You could talk about what you're going to see in the future, what's going to happen. But deja vu is a sense of, I don't know. It's a subtle difference, isn't it, Kelly?
It's a subtle thing that just all of a sudden you could be talking to somebody or and all of a sudden you might say, wait a minute, haven't we had this conversation?
Yeah.
It's
There's a
that
know,
kind of
it's a
it,
knowingness.
it's a knowing that you've been there before, you've had you've done this, but you haven't done it yet. It's like when time kind of gets there's no such thing as time. So something happens along the way here.
And it can also be opened by food, taste,
Oh,
smell,
oh yes. Oh yeah.
music, so forth. Those things can really generate that
Yeah.
experience of deja vu. Not only sleeping states or not only
Right.
waking state, but there are certain stimuli like food and colors and sounds and smells,
Right.
physical places that can indeed open the deja vu experience up.
That's so true. That's so
It's such
true.
it just validates that we're more than just linear. That we're just so we're outside of time. We really are outside, soul beings. We are outside of time, and we get caught up in that linear, physical, human, linear world. But that's not who we are. This is not a conflict all the time. I think people have because
Right.
unconsciously, perhaps too, that they don't. There's a sense of linear time, but they're really outside of time. And I think on one soul level, they know they're outside of time, but it's
Do
hard
you
to.
think in a way, James, that it's like the soul, our higher self, our spirit guides having fun with us? Like kind of setting it up for us to, like, I don't know, don't take things
Or
so seriously, or
or
showing us another part of
how about
life? Okay.
how about this? At nighttime we go in our dream state and leave the physical
Yeah.
body and we meet our guides, we our higher self, we're connected there. But I'm gonna play around with my lower self and just play around here and drop some little bits and pieces of
Yeah.
memories in there that they're gonna have something. Let's watch what happens. So just boom.
Let's watch what happens.
Because I think that would also work for people who take life too seriously.
That's what I meant by that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Renee Hounsell. Hi, Renee. She says,
Hi,
could it
Renee. Good to hear from you, honey.
She says, could it be we are aligning with another aspect of our consciousness existing in another dimension and we get a glimpse of it? So it's familiar.
I think it's the same. I think you're just saying different words, but I think exactly that, Renee. I think it's exactly what you're saying, but it's just saying it differently. But that's exactly what Kelly and I are trying to say.
Yeah.
That there's a realization of something in a different dimension, in a higher state of consciousness, and then in the physical linear world, we see it this way, but exactly the same, Renee.
Oh, this is interesting. Sonia Mitchum says when she has deja vu, she said, I feel like I'm going in slow motion and I sometimes have to close my eyes because it makes me feel sick sometimes. I've actually heard that before from people.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a little bit. But how I describe it for me, people often talk about goosebumps. Oh, I got goosebumps. Deja vu to me is having goosebumps on the inside.
Ah, okay. I love
I
it.
know this. This is really, I know this. Yeah. I
Yeah,
wonder.
and Monica Sella says temporal lobe episode. Yeah, temporal lobe. I've heard that too, that it could come from that. I have to look it up because I've had it often. She said it never felt bad. It felt right. Yeah, it does feel, it's just an odd sensation and experience. It's a bit
Well,
odd.
and then also, which we will do, we will, I don't know if we have done yet, I don't think we will, past life regression, we'll do past lives. We'll talk about that sometime. But when you meet somebody, you feel this connection with them from definitely past life connection.
Yeah.
I've met some people and it's like, whoa. And you know you've met before. I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it feels spiritual. A lot of people are saying that
It's spiritual recognition, it's soul recognition. Yeah.
right. Um, let's see here. This is so interesting. Yeah, people are talking about their dreams too.
Lots of the
So
dream state, lots of things happen in the dream state, and you a deja vu experience when you have sometimes some deja vu is like, I've dreamt this before. Or, I knew this was gonna happen. I know this was gonna happen. I looked at this from a distance. So yeah.
one of the things that I was reading about was so interesting to me, and somebody made a point here. To Susan Cullison makes a point, and she says, "I've had it before taking trips, and then I see something there, and I remember I had a deja vu." And they say that to have more deja vus is you have them more when you travel. So I'm curious, James. You traveled for years. Do you
Yeah.
remember traveling and having some deja vus?
A lot of deja vus. I can't say they were outstanding, but I have had them, sure, for sure. I've also, though, think I've had a lot more past life memories traveling than deja
Okay.
vus. I'd say that. Like when I was in
Okay.
Ireland, I had a lot of past life, and Sweden, I felt I'd been there before, and more, I'd say past life type experiences. Now, this is interesting. When I've been teaching several times, many times over these years, I've had deja vu experiences where I've been the same students in a classroom, and I've taught them, and I've had this experience before. I knew this was going to happen. So that's some. I've also experienced though where I've taught a class, and then uh,
Okay.
the next day I come back and they say, "Well, I was with you," and I'm like, "Yeah, I had you on the other side. We were doing the class on the other side. It just doesn't end here; it goes over there." So I've had that experience
Right.
a lot teaching.
Well, it does go on the other side. I've had readings with people where they'll say, "Oh no, you told me this would be the dream state last night or something," and I'm like, "Oh, I know I work a lot, but
You work a lot, Kelly. Yes, you
I
do
work
work
a
in the dream.
lot apparently." Linda Slavin says, "I've drove through towns and seen houses that I could visualize the layout of the houses that I've been in before," and that's up to
Right.
your point, James, what you were saying.
Exactly
Um,
right. Yeah, there was no time too, so to realize that
right.
there was no
Now,
time involved.
this is a great question. Patty Paulson says, for adopted people, how do you know which ancestors you are attached to? That's a very good question.
Wow,
I
that is a good
think
question.
I mean, it's such a trauma. I always talk of everything through the lens of trauma when I talk about generations and somebody who's been adopted. So there have been some trauma along the way, but I always feel in this lifetime that you get clues to who these people are that had you, the birth parents. You get clues along the way. I mean, now they've got this 23andMe and ancestors.com and all that. And now I think that all of this has come undone for that reason. I think because that it kept people so, in some levels, either felt abandoned or all of these feelings that would have come up for them. And so I think that now everything is being uncovered. What do you think, James?
100%, Kelly. 100%. Where they used to get like bits and pieces of truth, no doubt about it. So I lived long enough through this and through these experiences with people that were adopted that have been clients of mine. Said I felt this way and felt that way, and years later they'd find that person or that's experience.
Right.
Materialize. And that you're right, 23andMe, and it's a great thing that's opening up that world for people.
Mhm.
I at my house here, I had a reunion for people that didn't know each other. They one was
That's
adopted,
right.
didn't know our birth parents, and I had the reunion here at my house, and it was a great reunion. So I think it's wonderful. I think it's very, very interesting. This brings me back to a reading I did 2 or 3 years ago, and it was I'll never forget this. It was pretty amazing. It was in Houston, Texas, and I remember it was a man who the recipient was a gentleman, and his mother and father came in, and they were his adopted mother and father. He goes, "Yes, I was adopted." I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember fully the reading, but I remember in the middle of the reading, I remember they said, "Happy birthday." It was his birthday, and they said, "We have a special present for you for your birthday." And they brought his natural mother and father, who were in the spirit world, and they brought them in front and forward to speak to him for his birthday. And the mother was just so emotional. The mother said, son, please understand, it wasn't because we didn't love you. It was because I knew that you had to have a better life that I can give you."
Oh,
And he waited 53 years to
oh,
imagine.
talk about a deep healing.
That was his adopted parents. I mean, that was natural
Wow.
parents. And there was a group connection, the soul connection between the adopted parents and the natural parents. This was a soul agreement that they all had with this,
Yeah.
that they had to
Yes.
go through this. And it was
Yes.
just beautiful to witness that. It was just beautiful.
Wow. That is just amazing. What healing for people. My
So a lot of
gosh.
adopted children, a lot of adopted people should realize that many times that the natural parents feel they want to give a better life to that
Yeah.
person. And it's not they
Yeah.
don't love them. And because a lot of some adopted people come in, they feel like I'm not wanted, I'm not needed.
But if I go back even further, James, if we go back to the other side where we're choosing our families and choosing our circumstances, it may be that soul would have chosen that to have the experience of understanding what abandonment is and
Exactly.
understanding that. I mean, we have to always expand that lens constantly.
Exactly.
Oh
That's
my
true.
God. We're gonna get James so there's no more lens at all. It's just gonna be like all out. No more veil. Here we go. Oh, Vicky Trenko says strands of DNA connect the pearls. Speaking of what you said about the
Oh, that's
pearls.
beautiful. That is beautiful. Really beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you
Uh,
for filling that
Missy
up.
Jade says, James, I love it when you explain this. Brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
And
Thank
then
you.
Stacy R says, can we work on healing our ancestors through ourselves? I think I agree. Yes, we can. I believe that we can. And
I know we can, and
yeah,
I know that spirits come through oftentimes. They'll often say to people, "You've taught me so much by what you did." By
right.
the person on the earth, the loved ones have been watching them from the other side, ancestors, and they'll say, "Because how you handle a certain situation, you taught me how to would handle. I wouldn't have known how to do that." And I tell people, "Well, you see, you always think that just because they passed the spirit, they know better. No, no, no. They're
Oh,
still learning, and they
right,
learn a lot from us down here of how we handle various situations, and
right.
that proves it." Yeah.
And you may be the one that changes all of the generations behind you.
You
You
may
may
break
have been the chosen one to break the pattern. Especially,
patterns.
I see that a lot with addictions, James. When I work with people who've had addictions, I see that one person may have chosen addictions to break up the family with it to get
It's so
healing.
true. It's so, so true. Break up the ancestral pattern. It's so, so true. Very much
Right.
so.
I love Laura Isaac says there's much to be seen with the unseen eye. So
Oh,
true.
Laura, I'll leave it to you to say that, of course.
Oh my
Laura would
God.
say that one. Yes.
So Dory May says, what happens when you keep on dreaming of the same people that you've never met? Good question.
That's a great one. That's a good one. What
Hmm.
do you think, Kelly?
Well, let me think about that for a second. I could be people that you're going to meet. It could be people that you've known in past lives. Could be people that you're
Could be people in
supposed
the
to
spirit
connect
world.
with.
Could be guides on the other side as well. It depends on the
Yeah.
type of dream that you're having. It really depends, I think, on the circumstances and the substance of the dream.
Yeah.
it really depends on that. I would think of the type of dream that it is. But yeah, it could be exactly what you said.
I mean, dreams are so interesting.
I would find
Um,
with dreams, they have people in there. You often just say, "What are you teaching me? What should I know from you? What are you trying to tell me?"
oh, that's a really good one.
I do that a lot in dreams without even knowing it, like consciously knowing it. I'll be
Mhm.
asking questions always in my dreams. I'm like, what am I learning here? What are you teaching me? Then when it happens in the physical, I'm like, oh yeah, I dreamt this. This happened. Yeah. So I kind of want to remember that. Yeah.
Oh my God. Um, so let's see. Nina Smith says, to me, deja vu feels like a real life snippet of what we wrote in our chart. Exactly.
Yeah. It's a great way of putting it. Great way of describing it. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Um, okay. Jean Marie says, hi, Kelly. It's Jean Marie from New York. I have deja vu that I was in the Holocaust. So I don't know if is that the same, or is that maybe
Or is
a
it a
past
past life
life
experience that you remember?
experience that you're remembering? Yeah. I mean, that
Memory.
could be it too.
I have had that too. I know I've been in World War. I know I've been in World War II, and I know that I've been in Nazi Germany. I know that I've been a Nazi. I know it. 50 of my relatives died in Nazi Germany. Von Prach. I was watching a TV show. I meant yes, this guy. I was watching a Netflix show in Nazi Germany, and there was a wonderful "Lend Me a Pencil," and it was just a love story of this couple in Auschwitz and how they got through it, and they did. And then there was a list of the people that were in Auschwitz, and there was my name, Von Prach. So like,
Unbelievable.
so I know.
Oh
And
boy.
I think I was on the other side of that. So I'm thinking, did I kill my relatives?
Oh my gosh. But I think with this Pluto return, I think I always go back to that we're dealing with war trauma and war trauma. And I
Okay.
feel that, when I mentioned this once about COVID, I really feel it has a lot to do with war trauma. And I think this Pluto return is going to shake up not just our what we're going through in this lifetime, but maybe shake up some past life traumas from wars and things to deal with that would help you, your soul, and would help the other side, the generations behind us. What do you think?
Well, I think it's an interesting one because I think that to heal, and I
Mhm.
think that
I mean, deep healing. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know why I get a hit on this, and I don't know if it's right or not, but I just get a sense that Pluto would be this Pluto returns to with inventions that went the wrong way.
Now
At the age,
that's
that's interesting, isn't it?
interesting.
Inventions that went the wrong way. So whether
Ah,
humans used it for the wrong reason, that it was supposed to be given a certain way, for instance, like energy with Tesla was a free energy, but then humans would decide to own energy. It's like, wait a minute.
yeah.
I don't know. That reminds me that I also want to throw into the conversation here because I think it's very interesting because there is no time and we're just here in linear time in this human world. But let's say we have the Pluto return. Let's say it is here to heal things from the past. What do you think about this, Kelly? That right now, as we do certain things, we heal, maybe relations or family or our
Mhm.
country or the world, that will alleviate the past experiences because there is no past or future, but it's how we live now that alleviates some of the past and some of the future. You see what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying. Why
Possibility,
not? Why not?
possibility.
Maybe.
Maybe
Maybe.
we can heal our
Yeah.
past and our future by how we. This is just a hypothetical because I don't know.
No, but I like that.
Hypothetical, but if you do
Mhm,
something correct now in this life, that
mhm.
may alleviate the past experiences you've done the wrong way, and give you positive things in the future. Maybe that's it.
As
I
you're
don't
saying that, I'm visualizing these kinks that have been, like this,
taking
unkinking.
the knots out.
They're not getting the knots out. And then when that happens, then we're all free to move
Yeah,
forward, you know. And
and we're all
and we come here to make heaven on earth.
exactly right.
So
Make love out of
that
you,
Pluto is going to uncover a lot of stuff. So people could have more deja vu experiences because they
and I
may
just
be
get a really
more aware
sense
of
that
it.
secrets are going to be revealed,
Oh,
and
for
that
sure.
secrets are going to come out like you'd not expected. Like secrets,
Yeah.
aspects of your personality will come out that you didn't expect. It's like, oh, I forgot that when I was a little kid, or whenever this happened, or how I treated that person.
Yes.
All this stuff's going to come out from
Yeah.
you, and it's to be healed. It's to be looked at and healed. It's all done from love. Remember, the soul is love. It's all about love. So look at
Yeah.
it from a loving point of view. It's a learning. It's a teacher. It's a learning teacher, is what it is.
Yeah.
Pluto is a teacher to
Well,
learn.
I'll tell you a funny story about Pluto, which I don't know if you know this or not, but in 2006, Pluto was uh, decided, this fellow from Caltech decided that it wasn't a planet. It's the
I know.
funniest thing, right? And so, can you imagine being Pluto going like this? Really? Is that what you think? Okay. And I'll tell you the funniest thing that happened. So he declares Pluto is not a planet in 2006. So my mom goes to a dinner party at one of my friend's house, who you met, my friend Marianne. You met her with Michael Beckwith when you were, given that big honor with Michael Beckwith. I brought my friend Marianne. So Marianne was on the board for Caltech. And so she knew Mike Brown, the one that killed off Pluto, and had a dinner party for him. And my mother was there. I don't know. I think I was with you. We were out of town somewhere.
You're perfect with me.
I think I was. And so my mother said to him, "You killed Pluto." He did. And he's like, "Well, you see, it didn't qualify under the whatever." So now they've made it a dwarf planet. But I'll say this about Pluto. It's not a dwarf planet. It packs a punch. I don't care the size. It's going to change the world, which is what it's supposed to do.
And Kelly, can I put it this way, this analogy? I don't know if it makes sense. That things you put on the shelf for later on are going to fall off the shelf.
I love it.
They're going to fall right off the shelf. They're going to get right into your
Yes.
hand. Things you put away for another rainy day.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
Things you don't want to look at. Oh, okay. We're going to look at it anyway. It's going to be quite the experience here. Stephanie faces, I love it when I experience deja vu. Good for you, Stephanie. I do too. I think that's.
And with the deja vu also, I think it's important to, I think, as I said earlier, it's validation in a way.
Right.
And for me, the way I look at that is, am I doing it the right way? And like when I relive it or re-experience that, they have that experience. Is it the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Is that of love? Can I bring this experience further? I kind of, in a way, I remember that I feel that way when I have a deja vu.
Well, you're so conscious, James. That's why you're the most conscious person I know. I mean,
really?
Constant. Oh, you're very conscious.
I'm very conscious.
You don't miss anything.
I don't miss anything. No. Get over me. No.
Catherine Griffin. Yeah. You don't miss anything. Which I love our conversations. Catherine Griffin says, I'm 57 and I haven't felt deja vu in a long time. I agree, Catherine. And it's because as you get older, for some reason, I don't know if it's the plastic in the brain. What do they say about the brain? I don't know. But it doesn't happen as much.
I think also the more one is spontaneous in their life, and the more one has fun and allowing themselves to have amusement and fun and spontaneity in their life, I think you're open for those experiences. I also think that deja vu comes in a sense of, as I talked earlier, control. When you're trying to control everything, it's going to be very hard to have those deja vu experiences if you're trying to control everything. So you'll find you'll have more deja vu experiences the more you open up and spontaneous and have amusement or joy. Look, I think that gives you the groundwork and the space to allow that to happen. But when we try to control things, it limits us.
Paul Katz says, what about the possibility that the deja vu is actually the result of an experience in a parallel universe or multiverse? Quantum this.
Quantum. It's very possible.
Very possible, Paul. Good question, though.
Very possible. I think it's more real than not. How about that?
Right. Beth Balestria says, could deja vu moments be the soul's heads up that this is work it out moment? This is a work it out moment, something that you and your soul wants you to decide on. That's a good point.
You bet. It could be depending upon the experience. It could be depending upon the substance of that experience. So if it's something which you have to be cautious of, or a warning of something, for sure, definitely. It's like your soul's heads up. Let's do this the right way.
Heads up, right.
Sure. Or it could be a validation. You bet it could.
Allison Saucier says, it seems to happen more often when something significant is about to happen. What do you think?
Interesting. Well, you know what? That's a very good way of looking at it. Yeah. If you can measure those things, yes. I can't say for myself personally something major because in a way it kind of happens all the time to me. It kind of a lot of deja vu experiences. Or let me put it this way. I'm outside of linear time a lot because in my type of work, I'm on another level of consciousness most of the day, as you are, Kelly. So for us, it's a little hard to say because
I never even thought about that, but you're right, because we aren't often in a different place.
We're working with all the time.
Different space.
We're in a different space all the time. So it's different for us than it would be for every average person. Right. It's just different. People on this page, you'd have more experiences because you're more open. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in this page. But
Right.
it's true. So for us, it's a whole different world because of the levels of consciousness. And there's so many different levels of consciousness, spaces and places and worlds. I love this Mavis Patella
Yeah.
line. Worlds within worlds within worlds, which is really what it is. It's worlds within worlds within worlds. The more to
So true.
explore.
So
Humans
true.
like to think they know everything and they can put everything into, a law or it's black and white. It's not, mostly gray area.
I have to say, Holly Cena says hello from Bayside, New York.
Oh, hi, Holly. Live my old hometown, Bayside. Thank you. I have my new
Uh,
town visiting me, and we talk a lot about Bayside, Queens. Yeah.
were you recently talking a lot about that?
Oh, today we're talking about every day. We're talking about Bayside. Sure, we did
Oh,
a word game last night with the kids that we played. Talk about Bayside. We actually, her and I did categories. We both kept with the same street from Bayside, Queens. That's so
oh,
specific.
fun. Oh, your niece is so special. Hi, Kelly. I just have to say, extremely special here. Okay, Missy Jade, what happens if deja vu stops happening? I used to get it all the time, and now it's stopped happening.
Oh, I don't
Eh,
think it stopped happening.
yeah,
It's probably you're not aware of it, but it happens quite often, if you will. But
yeah,
you might not be consciously aware of it. I'd say
yeah,
that.
that's true.
Right.
So Renee Hounsel says, could it be we are playing out the many possibilities on different levels of awareness in different dimensions, and that the deja vu is all awareness aligning?
You bet. You betcha.
Perfect.
That goes exactly what we're saying with parallel universes and so forth. You bet. Anything is possible for sure.
Right.
It's just,
That
I guess it's just an interesting one that we all know that we've had these, like, I don't know, these experiences in our brains or our minds that we're reliving them again. It's just an interesting situation, different experience to have.
I
So
mean, the more we talk about it, I really do feel it's our soul is we're just ahead of ourselves for a moment or
it's
something.
our soul's calling,
It's yes,
calling us
it
out.
is. Um,
Yeah,
I
soul's
just think
calling.
it's so wild. Um,
Well, it goes to teach us also, I think, that we're not living again. We're not in linear time. It reminds us that we're really not linear time. Linear time is only of this human in the human box, that
yeah.
really we're outside of that. And maybe it reminds the soul, maybe the human part of ourselves that, you know what, you're not really there. That's this linear is just an illusion like the human body is, that you're more than just that human body. So let's just let your soul remind you of that. So it's a reminder in a way. It's all a reminder too.
It is. Oh, Janet String says music is a huge deja vu trigger.
So is it deja vu trigger or is it past life trigger? Because it can be both. It can be very much.
Ah,
Yeah, music is a big, big past life one too, and a deja vu. But I had more experience with music with past lives.
I
Even
have two.
that, have you? Yeah,
I
even
have
though the
two.
composer lived in, even knowing the composer in a past life, this sort of thing. Yeah, you know
Wow.
that. If you hear a certain tune, you're like, I remember this from the 1700s.
Well, that's actually happened to me once. I was watching a movie and all of a sudden I'm listening to the music. And next thing I know, I'm not watching the movie. I'm actually watching a past life with me. And I was stunned actually. And the music, the notes, something just put me right back there. And I had to really think about that for some time.
Well, that's very interesting. I was once told by, I think it was a medium, I'm not sure, that I had a past life with Liszt, the composer, piano composer.
Ah,
I related to that, and then I think it was like you watching a movie and this music came on. I'm like, I didn't know the music much, but I knew this. I knew this song. I knew how it ended at the beginning, and I was taken away with the music, and it ended up being a composition from Liszt. Yeah. Yeah.
that's really
And I
interesting.
can tell you, even then, that moment when I got to the music, I was aware of dancing and the wigs, the white wig I was wearing, and the satin clothing. There was still clothing, a vest and pants, and it was like, yeah, being one of the French,
No, it was the same thing with me, James. I became aware of my hair. I became aware of the clothes. I became aware of the energy of what was happening around me, the people that I knew. I had never had quite experience before, but it was through this song. That
yeah,
was
and it's there.
wild.
So we just got to ask, and it'll show up. It will show up.
Yeah.
I would say, everyone, keep a journal of all that. Keep a journal of, if you want to, just ask the universe and keep a deja vu journal. Just like I said, keep a dream journal. Two different things, but
Yeah.
try that. See what happens because
That's a great idea.
what's setting your intention? Setting your intention, the
Yeah.
universe will provide the answer. Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh. Oh, Lynn Selke says, I love the duality of your light and dark shirts.
We're all about
Now,
duality. We're two,
Okay.
two.
Well, often we do the same. So it is interesting. But that is good notice on that one. Hello.
We do that unconsciously, though, Kelly and I. We always
know.
address it. It was so interesting how we.
It's a wild. Shay Princey says, hello from Western Australia. I love it, or I feel I'm on the right path when it happens with deja vu.
Validation, soul validation for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. People are just loving this. Oh, Sue Wells says I go into a trance, something that I can't look into the eyes when that happens.
Yes, so I remember that. I remember that in class with you, that you go to those light trances because you're transmedia. But I remember that you would do that too in classes. I remember that.
Interesting. Beth Glomsky. Hi, Beth. She says, does deja vu also pertain to people? I have met new people that I recognized from somewhere, but their names didn't seem to fit.
Well, for me, as I said before earlier, and it could be that. I'm not going to limit it,
Yeah.
but for me, it's more like past life experiences, but it could be
Yeah.
soul memory, or, it could be, why couldn't it be you plan this out and in the future, you're going to see these people and you see them and it's like, I know them. So it could be a deja vu type of thing, or it could be a past life experience.
Yeah.
There's not one answer thing because everyone's experience is different. We have to know what.
Right. And that sounds almost more past life, that maybe the soul group is coming in together.
My experience is in this life right now, it'd be more past life experiences.
Yeah. So our Katie Kane says, in my dream state, when I encounter other souls, they do not speak, yet they communicate quite clearly. In deja vu, they will speak.
Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting experience because in the spirit world, we don't speak verbally to each other. It's all done through thought. It's all telepathy. So I also would think, mostly dreams that I've had, I don't know about you, Kelly, it's all done telepathically. I've never had verbal deja vus. I always had telepathic communication. How about you?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Yeah. I think it's been that way.
Telepathic.
It's a wild experience when you have those deja vus, though. All of a sudden you're like, what happened? What didn't I just it's something about it does something. It's a wild feeling.
Well, and it's something activates it. What again, the location or smells or food or clothing or a person, it activates that deja vu experience.
Yeah, it does. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Oh, Renee Bear King. She says it's a trigger to know you are never alone. You are on the right course. True. Yes.
True.
Oh
Soul
my
validation.
Gosh.
Soul validation. I like to say it that way. Deja vu equals soul validation.
Oh my God. So Lowstone says it scares me because when I get a deja vu, it reminds me of a dream where somebody has died, and it usually is somebody familiar to me.
Well, number one, you should not be afraid of death because there's no death. Nothing to be afraid of. When people say they fear it, it's usually the unknown that people mostly fear. But I could promise you that you can't die worth the life of you. And it really is true that there's no
true.
There's only love. And this is the place, the hard place, because this is a forgetful place. We forget here in this three-dimensional human existence. We're in the box, and like the lid is on the box. But really, I promise you, when the time comes as a natural experience of leaving the body, there's no pain at all. There's no pain. And there's a reception. They come to get us. They come to greet us. They prepare for every single person's coming over. They prepare for that. And it's something to look forward to. It's not something to be fearful of. It's quite the opposite. And I've had so many hundreds, if not thousands, of clients who have been in the physical. I knew them, and then when they've been in the spirit, and they said, I had nothing to worry about. I'll never forget. I had one lady who I did a reading for, and she had 5 different husbands, and she was in this physical earth. And I think I brought through 3 of her husbands. And she passed over, and her daughter came to me, and we connected with the lady, and she was very upset with me. She was very angry with me. And after all, I knew she was joking, but she said, I'm really angry with you, James. I said, why? She goes, you didn't tell me how great it really was. So she said, you didn't describe how great it was. So, and I agree with her. It's great. It's a great, again, LeslieFlint.com. Leslie Flint was a physical medium in the 1930s and 40s and 50s and 60s. And he was the last great physical medium where a voice box appeared in the air. The people in the spirit world created that, and voices would speak through that voice box. They would use that to vibrate the sound. My mother came through it. And if you go to that online, you'll hear different spirits come through. Oscar Wilde, Queen Victoria, Chopin, Wonderful people that, I mean, you'd be like, wow, there is no death. They keep saying, there's no death. You start educating yourself about that, having some knowledge about life after death. We need to do that to alleviate the fear. There's so much
Right.
fear in this world with that doesn't need to be. Imagine all that wasted emotion because of fear, which fear doesn't need to be there.
Right. So
Yeah,
true. It's so
yeah.
true. I have to read this because I like this one. Colleen Simmons Pruskowski. She says, it's like the song Deja Vu. Could it be a dream that I once knew? Do you remember that song, Deja Vu? I think it was
Nash,
Crosby, Stills, and
yeah.
Nash.
Yes.
Could it be a dream that I once knew?
Love the lyrics. That's
I do
true.
too. Oh my gosh. So let's talk about Friday night, James.
This Friday night, I'm doing psychic readings, and I was going to do this past Friday, but I wasn't feeling up to it. So I had a cold, and I just didn't feel it was right for the people. And I wanted to be the best I could always be. That's just who I am. And I wanted to postpone it this Friday night. So this Friday night, I'll be doing a lot of psychic or intuitive readings. Now, I was talking about this today, that when I connect with somebody, they might ask a question about when is I going to find my soulmate or my next job. And that kind of tunes me into the person, but I find that spirit just lets me tell exactly what's going on with that person that they need to know in a general level as far as what's happening, what's there. So they might get that question answered, but more they will get what they need to hear. And it's always right on. It's always spot on. So that's this Friday at 4:00 Pacific time. And I do a lot of them. I do a lot of readings. It's not messages, it's readings. So I tune into you. And that to me is easy. It's an easy part of doing it. I love to. I see colors, I see conditions, I see health conditions, I see lots of different things going on.
Wow.
So it's good to
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that's Friday.
that ought to be fun. And you probably give messages for everybody who attends.
Totally.
I mean,
It's the spirit world, and I tell this today in my soul care, that the guides are different for the psychic evening there for the mediumship evening. It's a very different set of guides and counsel that work with me. Very interesting. Yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh. And if you want to join me tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be talking about that once in a lifetime event, this Pluto return and 222222s. It's going to be.
How do we get there? Facebook, right?
It's going to be Facebook or YouTube. Yeah, Facebook or YouTube.
I'll go to
live. It's going to be fun. It'll be very interesting. So get a lot of details about this Pluto return.
I can't wait.
I can't wait. And everybody, I guess we'll see everybody next Monday. Oh, I also have a show Thursday too. So I'll be
Ask you anything?
Ask me anything on Thursday, but tomorrow is going to be about Pluto.
All Pluto. So sign up.
Anyway, everybody, well, we'll see you all next week. Thank you, James. Thank you, Renee. Bye, everybody.
God bless everybody. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kelly White.
That was great. Maybe we changed some lives.
And maybe opened up some minds.
Which way do I turn?
Right. I mean left.
The James and Kelly Show.